So I've already started the setup here. It basically sets up the same way as a multiplayer game. So we've shuffled the parks deck and dealt 3 parks. The gear deck is shuffled, but we don't deal any out, which means at the start of the game on turn 1 there are no gear items available to purchase, but you'll soon see that they fill up later as we go. Canteens have been shuffled and we take 1 per player, which, as it's a solo game, is just the 1. Seasons gets flipped over, the top card. So this season is gain 1 sunshine if you gain any tree on any turn, and then we deal with the weather pattern as you do. Everything here is just as you would in a normal game. So sun, sun, water, sun, sun. You start with the campfire of your choice of your colour, face up, the first player marker and the camera. And then you choose a colour for the ranger. The park ranger is your AI opponent. And in this game I have chosen white and I will be purple. I choose 2 year cards out of the deck, shuffled, and pick one. So I'll just go for this one because we're not going to play a full playthrough. And then this is a difference in the solo variant. You find this ranger tracker card and leave that face up because we track when they gain sunshine and water. And you shuffle the events deck, which I've already done, and flip the top card, which shows you which events trigger when those fill up. So you can pretty much get going now as you would on a normal game, because you've got the first player marker, so you go first. So I am going to, let's think, I'm going to just go here for the first turn because I'm going to move these down here so I can get to them more easily. That grabs me 2 water, and I can use one of those water to fill up and get some stars, fill up my canteen. Okay, now the ranger's turn. This is how it works, and it's really simple, it's really quick, which is what I like about AI turns when they're like this. So you flip the top card. Now what we're interested in is the number of stars in the top right, the value. So this is 1, so the 1s go on the left, the 2s go in the middle, and the 3s go on the right. So we end up with 3 different stacks. And when it comes to buying gear, we can buy the gear that's on top of any of those stacks as per a normal purchase gear action. So 1 star means we move the the ranger, I'm the hiker, character 1 step further. Now he never lands on a space where one of my characters is, so he then goes to the next space. There's a weather token there and he picks it up. That is everything he does on his turn. If there's a weather token, he picks it up. That's it. He doesn't take an action or anything more complicated than that, and that starts filling this event tracker here. Now I moved, it didn't really matter which one I moved there, but there is an order to which you move them, which I'll show you as we progress. So my next turn, I think I'm going to jump ahead of the ranger here, try and take this weather token from him, and also I can take the action, which is to grab 2 more weather tokens. So at the moment I've got 5 stars and a water, and that would be the end of my turn. And now it's the ranger's turn. So now we've got his ranger's in a different position, so we need to refer to the solo reference, which says if a hiker is ahead of both rangers on the trail, move the front ranger. So my hiker, one of them, doesn't matter which one, is ahead of both of the rangers, so I'll move the front one, which I'll do when I draw the gear card, which is a 1. So he moves 1, again, can't stay there, so he jumps ahead and grabs a water token. So sometimes it felt a bit like the furthest back ranger was getting a bit left behind, but it actually works quite well, because if you were moving the furthest back one each time, they'd always be behind and probably never really picking up these weather tokens, whereas the way it works is quite well, actually, it's quite well balanced. So again, that's a nice quick and easy turn for the ranger. My turn. Well, as soon as I've got the camera, which can get taken off you as part of an action from the ranger at the end of the turn, at the end of the season, I would like to take a photo, but he is stood on that at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my campfire, which I can use in exactly the same way as I do in a multiplayer game, and that will allow me to jump onto this space where the ranger is. So I'm going to pay 1 resource, which is this star, to take a photo. I already hold the camera, so that's a point for me for the end of the game. Ranger's turn. It is another 1 star. They have been shuffled. And now we need to say, well, if a ranger is ahead or tied with your front hiker, which is the case, move the back ranger. So the back ranger can't land there, moves there. No weather tokens to collect, nothing happens. Okay, my turn. Well, I really want to get the park on the left, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get that really, unless... So I'm actually going to just jump all the way to here to steal this weather token from under his nose and try and get ahead of the game towards the final action. So that means for my action I get to take a mountain. So the ranger's turn. If a hiker is ahead of both rangers, which I am, you move the front ranger. So we'll be moving the front ranger 3. So he goes, whoops, 1, 2, 3, and he lands here. So he's now at trail end. So what happens when he's at trail end is it matters which card we drew to get him there. So we drew a 3-star card. So we put him in the bottom slot, which goes, so he comes here, 3-star gear, it even shows you on the iconography, and he goes in the visit a park slot. So what happens here is, it says in the rules reference, discard the right park, and that doesn't get replenished the way it does if we reserve or visit a park. That's just gone now. So that's another reason why it's important to try and plan your movement, because to get those parks that you want before the ranger steals them from you. And then it says shuffle all 3-star cost gear back into the gear deck. Well, there's only 1, so we'll shuffle that back in, like so. So, my turn. Well, I'm a little bit nervous about the ranger stealing my park from me, and I want another mountain. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my character all the way, I don't know why I did that and just skipped straight ahead, to this slot, which is the first player marker. So that means I've got the first player marker for next turn, and I can reserve a park. And I'm going to take this park and reserve it. So we know that that's the one I'm collecting. So I'm going to reserve that and place it sideways. And because I've reserved it, it does get replenished. So ranger's turn. It's another 3. There's only 1 of his to move. He's safely home. So 1, 2, 3. No weather tokens to collect. However, that's really kind of messed my plan up because I wanted to go there and grab that mountain. Which I now can do, because when I sent my first hiker to the trail end, it relights your campfire. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend my relit campfire, move to there, and take this mountain. So I've still not got quite what I need to complete the park, to visit the park on this season, but I'll be in a nice position. You need to be aware of some of these on here though, and make sure you're not imminently getting, there's some that make you discard down to 4 resources, for example. So you need to be aware that what we're avoiding here is discard 1 of your gear, which wouldn't hurt me at the moment, and move your back hiker to the closest ranger down the trail. And you don't get to take the action when you do that. So the ranger's turn now, and draws a 3. So he gets to go all the way to the end here, and what happens is, it actually says here, if a second ranger reaches the trail end and would occupy the same space as the previous ranger, nothing happens. So essentially nothing happened there. However, I can just show you now what would have happened if he'd have drawn a 1. Well, if he'd have drawn a 1, he'd have gone there. But let's say he was there and he drew a 1 gear card. He would have jumped all the way over to this reserve a park space. And that now, when it's a ranger in there, it's now closed. I would then not be able to use this one to reserve a park. So that's the only slightly tricky part that I found, was who goes where in this top slot and what the rules are with that. If he was here, the central part would have just been discarded and he'd have taken the camera from me, or well, returned it to the supply, and he'd have gone there, but that doesn't stop me going there. That doesn't stop me going there. What does stop me is if he's over here in the reserve a park space. However, if he'd have gone there first, like so, and my character wasn't there, I would have been able to go there and jump across to the reserve a park space. So it's only when he is in this, if I've grabbed the first player marker and he lands in that top slot, he reserves a park and he makes sure that you can't reserve a park for the rest of your turn. So anyway, he was actually down here, I was down there, he was there, like so. And it would be my turn. Now, much like in the multiplayer game, if both of the rangers reach the trail end, I have to come to the trail end on my final turn. And if I had 2 rangers, they'd both have to come to the trail end. However, only one of them could take an action. So you can't just hang around there taking your time, picking everything up. It's a timed AI. So he'd come to the end and he'd probably go to the buy gear slot and perhaps take this one here, for example, at the cost of 1 star. You don't get any discount like you do in the multiplayer for being the first there. So it's all, the gear just costs you what it costs you. So then the season would end like a normal season. We finish the campfire. I'd get to spend a resource to take a photo if I wanted, because I've got the camera. He didn't take that off me by landing in the middle slot, which was good, which I would probably spend this water to take another photo. Reset to the trailhead and turn over a new season card and begin again, and it works exactly the same way. These don't get discarded between turns, they build up. It's an ongoing event tracker, which you need to be really aware of. So you just keep going until the end of the year and you've played 4 seasons, and then you compare your points to this solo mode scoring reference here to see how well you did.